Hey everyone, to create this mermaid gown drape, you'll need 4 muslin strips 19 inches by about 72 inches long, and you're going to mark 1 inch down on each side. And for the other 2 strips, you're going to fold the fabric in half and mark that line right down the middle. To prep my fabric, I'm going to take only 2 pieces of the muslin strips that I cut out and draw in my 1 inch line, as you saw, and then I'm going to be pressing, going up and down. And I always mention not to do the scribble method where you're just going crazy with the iron, but gently go up and down, side to side when you're dealing with fabric and draping. So you want as much pins as possible, whether you put it on your dress form, you put it on a little cushion that you have, you put it on whatever or wherever, because let me tell you, this drape is going to require a lot of pins. So I want to make sure that you're prepared for this drape. So this is why I'm putting as much pins as possible onto the dress form so that I don't have to keep going back and forth and getting them. So I have my strip and I'm going to place it right at the top of the neck of the dress form. And this is just 1 block of fabric out of the 4. This is the strip of fabric where we mark the 1 inch line. Make sure that the fabric is straight down to the floor. As you can see what I'm doing now, I'm just making sure that it's straight. And I'm gonna pin the neck. Place it right in there. And I'm gonna start going down. And continuously making sure that the fabric is straight, the muslin is straight. And I'm gonna keep pinning. And when you pin, you wanna go that way where my finger directed so that it won't move. So I keep on lifting up the fabric because it's so important that the grains are aligned and everything is straight. I'm gonna keep pinning all the way down. You just want to put that muslin in place at the center front. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going all the way down, right at the middle, at the center seam, and you'll feel it as you go. Now my dress form is padded because this dress form is not my size, so sometimes I have a few challenges when it comes to feeling out the seams of this dress form, but I usually get it right just by instinct. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna smooth everything out. You're not gonna pull, you're not gonna tug, you're just gonna smooth out everything like you giving it a massage, you know what I'm saying? And you're just gonna keep pinning around the neck. Make sure that it's nice and smooth, but don't pull. And you'll see some tension there, but that'll be fixed when we start cutting it out. So again, smooth it, smooth it, smooth it. Make sure the pins are in place. And now I'm pinning the shoulders. This is a close-up for you. Making sure it's in place. Okay. So now I'm gonna start going down that princess seam. And again, I'm just smoothing it out. I'm not really pulling. You can give it a little tug, but don't pull. Feel out those princess seams and place those pins. And don't place the pins right directly on the seam, but right next to it, because remember, you're going to be marking on this fabric and you need space to where you can mark where that seam is at. So you see that it's a curve, so you kind of want to give it a tug there because naturally there's a curve there, and you just want to make sure that it's kind of smooth underneath the breast. Making sure again that the fabric is straight. And here I am just pinning all the way down. As you can see, the masking tape through the muslin So that's my little indicator where the princess seams is located, and I'm pinning right next to that tape. I'm not pinning on it. So this is how it's looking so far, and I'm going to take my red marker and I'm going to start marking. Okay, so I'll be using a red marker for the front portion of this drape. Why? Because so that you guys can see it and so that I can know which is which. I'll know that the red marked muslin is my front portion. So I'll be using a red marker. Now I'm just gonna write in dashes where the neckline is. Make sure you feel for it. And I'm gonna go right down the shoulder, and I'm gonna make like an L shape when I get to that pivotal part to where I have to go down the princess seam. And I'm going all the way down, and once I get to the bottom of this part of the gown, my indicator would be this cage that's at the bottom of my dress form. So I felt for it, and I'm going to mark right where that cage is at, that first bar to the cage, and that's where I'll be doing the dip. I'm gonna go straight down first, as you see here, and once I get to that line or that dot that I've created, as you can see there, I'm going to take that dip now. And you can go as wide as you want, you can go as narrow as you want. It's all up to you, but I'm gonna go a little flared out. I'm gonna take up as much muslin as I can. And during the sewing process, if you want, you have the ability to take in or take out. So that's the good part. So if you do this thing wide, you can take it in depending on how you want the dress to be and how the design is that you've planned for. So now I'm just cutting out the excess fabric. Do not cut next to the marked line. Cut right next to it. Do not cut over the marked line. Cut right next to it. And I'm cutting off the neck excess fabric and the shoulders. And I'm going to be slashing through to release some of that tension that you see there. So it can be nice and smooth, as you can see. And I'm gonna be smoothing it out a little bit, and as you can see a little pucker there by the breast, and that's okay. That can give you a little ease. You don't want to be suffocating, you know, you don't want to be not breathing, so that's good. It's not a problem. So I'm gonna take my pen and I'm going to mark or marker. You can use a pen or marker or a pencil, and I'm gonna mark my apex, which is the highest point of your breast for the breast of the dress form. So you want to just write a little mark there. Smooth it out. And when I'm done, I'm going to do another set of slashes on the sides. Make sure you don't cut into the dash lines. Just to release some of that tension, any wrinkles, any type of pulling. Hopefully it'll do away with once you slash. So here it is. And now I'm marking the waistline, which is very important. Make sure you mark that waistline and you just feel for it. As you can see, it's a little slanted because that's how the body is naturally. It's not straight across. So when I'm done with that, I pinned it to the side and I'm on to the next. Okay, so I'm going to show you what's going to happen if you place your muslin incorrectly at the side panel and you place a 1-inch seam allowance right directly on the princess line. As you can see, it's in order for you to really get this down, you're gonna have to do a lot of pulling, stretching of the grains, stretching of the muslin, and it's not gonna look right. I'm gonna place that muslin right down the middle. So I'm gonna place a pin right at the waistline in the middle. And I'm going to start pinning. You place your muslin right on the middle. Do not place it on the princess seam. Don't place it anywhere else. Place it right down the middle. And if you want an accurate line, you fold that fabric, you fold the muslin or whatever you're working with, and that'll give you your middle line. So what I'm doing now is placing my pins, but as you can see, there's no puckers, there's no type of ugliness. You just gracefully place the muslin right on that side panel without tugging or anything, and you make sure that the muslin is straight and going up and down. You don't want crooked, you don't want sideways, you don't want none of that. Make sure it's straight. It's very, very important. So as you can see, I'm placing the pins on the waistline, placing the pins on the sides, the side seams, and I'm just smoothing it, smooth it out. You see, I was struggling the first time because that was placed incorrectly. But once you put that muslin right down the middle, this is how it's looking. So I'm gonna continue to place the pins right on the princess seams now. Right next to the seam line, not on it, but right next to it. And I'm gonna continue to pin all the way up and down. But look how the fabric is acting once I place that muslin right down the middle. No type of hassle, no type of dilemmas. But if you were to place the fabric on that 1-inch seam line onto the princess seam, is gonna be an issue. So guys, please don't forget, if you're draping this gown, make sure you have 2 pieces, because we're gonna do both side panels on the front and the back. So make sure you have 2 pieces that have the line in the middle. And this is how it looks. As you can see, it looks good because I put that muslin in the middle. Now I'm marking where I want to drag down the length of the gown. It's kind of hard to draw in the line without the surface, but do what you can. Try your best. Once we take down the drape, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna perfect it. Okay? So I'm making my markings, and I'm letting the cage be my guide for where I want to create the dip and the direction I want to go in. So this is it, and I'm gonna make my slashes to relax those grains and relax the fabric out. I know it's looking a little cut up, but it's okay. Now I'm gonna go for the back. I'm doing the same exact thing as I did for the front. I'm putting that muslin piece where that neck is, and I'm placing the center back where the 1-inch line is. And I'm taking my 1-inch line fabric, not the middle line fabric, the 1-inch line on the side. And then for The side panel, I'm doing the same exact thing. Make sure it's nice and straight, and then pin on that middle line first before you pin the side seams in the princess. You want to stabilize that middle line because it's very important that you do so. So here I am just pinning that, and then I go to the back princess and start pinning and smoothing it out, giving it a light tug. I'm marking my shoulder seam and just give it a little mark at the edges or at the ends of the dashes that you create, and go down. I'm going all the way down. After I took down the muslin pieces, I pressed it so that I can make my lines accurate. I'm gonna label it back portion, and as you can see, I use a black marker so that I know. I'm just using my French curve to fill in the lines. You can use a pen or a pencil or a marker. It looks a bit weird, but that's okay. And this is where the dip is located, and I'm just gonna take my ruler and just put a mark right there so that I can know that's the dip location. And I'm gonna go all the way down and just perfect those lines so that we can test it out on the dress form. I put in my 1/2 inch seam allowance so that I'll be able to pin it and place it back on the dress form. After I was done, I cut out the excess fabric and I'm placing my pins. And you want to pin that way, going towards the back of the gown. So you never want to pin going to the center front. You push all your seams toward the back always, whether it's on muslin or the actual garment. So I'm pinning, and I'm gonna pin all the way down. And guys, this is a long process, so make sure you have time, make sure you have some free time, maybe a few days to really do this. And this is where my apex is, so if you see a little pucker there, that's okay, because that's just the ease, and that's where the breast is located, so it needs some of that extra fabric there. But yeah guys, make sure you have time. Once this pattern is perfected, I don't have to do this again. So this is a pattern where you can take it in any direction. So again, put your seams going toward the back. So this is my drape. Here it is. I must have used like 200 pins, guys. Like, it was a lot of pins. So like I said, remember, prepare yourself and place those pins on the dress form, because like I said, you're gonna need a lot of pins. So now I'm just cutting anything, any imperfections. As you can see, the gown, there's some panels that are higher than the others. I'm just leveling them out. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter once you have your paper pattern. But this is just for right now as I drape. And this is just a little sample, which I'm happy with, and I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna redo my waistline. Make sure you have your waistline all around, front and back. And here it is. And this is the final result. So now I'm gonna transfer it onto pattern paper, which will be the next video. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you go and create this drape, and if you do, send me a photo in my email, and stay tuned for the next video.